Canelo and Crawford. Crawford stepping up. Man, it's so big, you got Muhammad over there saying something about it. That's how big it is. He came off the bench from the 60s, right, Muhammad? You go back in the 60s? Yeah, well, listen, Canelo is big. And shout out to Crawford stepping up. But does Crawford have to be worried about more things than just boxing? Absolutely.
I'm going for Bud, 100%. Yeah. And I think that Bud has a huge chance of winning. His style is just, something that is going to be a huge problem for Canelo Alvarez. I feel like he has good enough feet to make Canelo have to run to him.
Boxing pros have just explained how Terence Crawford has a chance against Canelo Alvarez even after moving up in weight. On the other hand, Nonito Donaire said that Canelo has the weight and experience in the division, and he can punch hard, but he believes Crawford is a smart boxer. Donaire explained that the weight does not matter as long as Crawford avoids getting hit, just like Mayweather used to do. However, he pointed out that there is a big difference between getting hit by a regular fighter and getting hit by a bigger one. That could affect Crawford's mindset. Still, if Crawford keeps boxing the way he usually does and avoids punches, Donaire thinks it will be a great fight that could change the direction of how the fight plays out.
Canelo has the weight, he's been fighting this game in this division for a very long time, and he can punch. But Crawford can box. It doesn't matter what weight he is, as long as you don't touch him. That's all there is to it, just like Mayweather did, But it is going to be a big difference between getting hit and then getting hit with the bigger fighter, right? So that's just how it's going to look like, how it's going to change his mindset. But if he continue to be who he is, that we've seen him using in boxing and not getting hit with punch, I think that it's going to be a hell of a fight that can be changed. It can change a trajectory on how the fight's gonna go.
Moreover, Sergio Mora said that at first he picked Canelo to win because size matters in boxing. He has followed Canelo's career for a long time and believed Crawford was simply too small, even though he's an incredible talent. But then Mora saw Crawford in person and noticed how much stronger he looked. He mentioned Crawford's wrestling background and how that makes him tougher than he appears. Mora also praised Crawford's ability to fight from both stances and said that if Crawford uses tactics similar to Bivol or Mayweather, like movement, a strong jab, and smart footwork, he could give Canelo real problems.
I say Canelo all day, just size matters in this sport. I've been covering Canelo for a long time. Crawford is an incredible talent, but he's too small. That's the thing that I kept thinking. Then I started seeing Crawford bulk up. I started seeing him in person, and you got to realize this guy has a wrestling background. He's stronger than he looks. I mean, he's an incredible fighter from both stances. And if he takes a little bit of a page of the Bivol of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and the guys that have given Canelo problems, movers, stickers, long jab, I can see Crawford doing all that. Crawford is a generational all-time great.
As the fight gets closer, Mora admitted he is starting to lean toward Crawford. He said Crawford is a generational all-time great, and although he may not knock Canelo out, he believes Crawford can win by decision. Mora wasn't impressed with Canelo's last fight, especially how he cut off the ring. He explained that Crawford won't run, but will move just enough to land clean shots from both sides, using his reach and ring IQ. He also called Crawford mean and said he fights with a chip on his shoulder. Mora finished by saying that Crawford just might pull off the win. That's how great he is.
So now, the closer this fight gets, the more I'm starting to look at Crawford and be like, Crawford might beat him. Crawford might do something. I mean, we'll knock him out, but he won't. I think he'll win a decision. Nowadays, yeah. I think he'll probably win a decision.
You think he'll be able to take Canelo's power?
I wasn't really, like many people, I wasn't impressed with Canelo's last fight, cutting off the ring. And Bud's not a mover like that. He's not going to be running around the ring. But he is going to move, and he's going to watch out you from both sides. He's going to use his length, going to use his reach, and he's mean. Bud is mean, man. Bud has a chip on his shoulder too. He's great as well. So yeah, the closer the fight gets, the more I start looking at Bud and be like, he might do it. He just might do it. That's how great he is.
However, Bill Haney said that Canelo versus Crawford is the biggest fight in boxing right now, and it's so big that even Muhammad Ali would be talking about it if he were around. He gave credit to Crawford for stepping up to take such a major challenge, but also pointed out that it's not just about boxing skills in this fight. Haney emphasized that Crawford has to worry about more than just boxing when facing someone as big and strong as Canelo, suggesting the physical size and power difference will be a serious factor.
Man, come on, man. That's the biggest fight, you know what I mean, in boxing right now. Canelo and Crawford. Crawford stepping up. Man, it's so big, you got Muhammad over there saying something about it. That's how big it is. He came off the bench from the 60s, right, Muhammad? You go back in the 60s? Yeah, well, listen. Canelo is big. And shout out to Crawford stepping up. But does Crawford have to be worried about more things than just boxing? Absolutely.
Furthermore, Bruce Carrington said he's going for Crawford 100% and believes Crawford has a strong chance of winning. He explained that Crawford's style will be a big problem for Canelo, especially because of his good footwork, defensive discipline, and smart form. Carrington noted that while Crawford occasionally has defensive lapses, his overall skill set can force Canelo to chase him. He also warned about one specific danger: Canelo's straight right hand against southpaws, a shot he used effectively against fighters like Austin Trout, and something Crawford needs to watch out for, especially when throwing his right jab.
I'm going for Bud, 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that Bud has a huge chance of winning. His style is just, something that is going to be a huge problem for Canelo Alvarez. I feel like he has good enough feet to make Canelo have to run to him. I feel like he has good form and discipline with his defense, good enough. Because sometimes Bud, he has little lapses. But, and we've seen it in the Majimov fight, that what I would want Bud to look out for is that dip straight right hand when he's in a southpaw stance. If that comes at him from Canelo Alvarez, because he was caught by that a few times with Majimov. Whenever he would throw his right jab, Majimov would duck to his right and then throw his straight right hand and catch him straight on the line. And I noticed that Canelo is pretty good with that when it comes to fighting southpaw fighters. He dropped Austin Trout with that same shot.
Carrington also pointed out the obvious size difference, saying Canelo is naturally bigger, has real punching power, and was a champion at 175 pounds, so that power can still be dangerous even against smaller fighters like Crawford. Despite all that, Carrington believes the fight will come down to who has the better game plan and thinks Crawford has what it takes to win. The most realistic outcome in his view is Crawford winning by decision.
There's little things that you have to look at, and then on top of that, the obvious thing, the size, how Canelo's naturally bigger than Crawford. He packs a punch. He was a champion at 175. So if he's able to affect guys at that weight class, he's able to affect guys that's, his size or smaller. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's who's going to come with the best game plan. But I feel like naturally, Bud has a chance to win for sure.
So what's the most realistic scenario you think plays out in the fight?
Bud by decision.
John Ryder said that if any man could beat Canelo, it would be Terence Crawford because of his exceptional talent. However, he believes the size difference will be too much for Crawford to overcome. Speaking from experience, Ryder mentioned that he landed good shots on Canelo, but Canelo was able to take them without much trouble. He emphasized that on fight night, Canelo's size and strength will likely be the deciding factors, making it very difficult for Crawford to win.
If there's any man that could do it, it would be Terence Crawford, but I just think the sheer size of Canelo is going to be too much on the line.
But do you think size will be too much? I mean, you were in there with Canelo, you landed good shots and he took them, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Terence Crawford is an exceptional talent, but I think the size will be the factor on the night and he'd just be too big, too strong.
Tim Tissue said that both Canelo and Crawford are trying to show their dominance and alpha presence in different ways, and it's interesting to watch them try to outboss each other. He explained that this kind of dynamic is what happens when two megastars collide. When asked who has done a better job being the alpha so far, Tissue said Canelo, pointing out that Canelo has the resume to support his confidence. At the same time, he acknowledged that Crawford deeply believes in his own skills and abilities, which is why he's backing himself so strongly.
Yeah, I think they're both trying to show the alpha and dominance in different ways, and it's funny to see one trying to boss each other, the other one trying to boss each other, so what happens when two megastars collide.
Who do you think's done a better job being that alpha male so far?
I think Canelo's doing good, but he's got the resume to back it up, while Crawford believes in his skills and abilities that much more. That's why he's backing himself so much.
Tim Tszyu further said it's hard to predict the outcome because it really depends on which version of Canelo shows up. He pointed to the Canelo who fought Gennady Golovkin in their second fight as the best version he's seen, showing high-level skill and intensity. However, he noted that the more recent versions of Canelo haven't looked the same as they did during those peak years. On the other hand, even though Crawford is around 38 years old, Tszyu said he still looks fresh and hasn't taken much damage, which makes the fight even more interesting and raises the key question about how each fighter will show up on the night.
It's hard to say because it depends on the Canelo that comes out, you know, like the Canelo that fought Triple G in the second one. I thought that was probably the best Canelo that I've seen to date, but the Canelo that I've seen in recent years hasn't been the Canelo from the Triple G days, so that's what it's all about. But then again, Crawford's like 38 years old, but he's still fresh and he hasn't been hit. So that's the real question.
Tim Tszyu lastly said that Canelo has become predictable, relying on certain shots and using his brute strength to overpower opponents. But in Crawford, he's facing someone you can't just bully with physical power because Crawford is very smart and strategic. When asked to give his prediction, Tszyu said he would put it at 65% in favor of Crawford, showing he believes Crawford's intelligence and style give him the edge in the fight.
I think he's just become predictable, you know. He's got these certain shots and he's used his brute force and physical strength to just bully everyone, you know. But right now in front of him, it's not someone that you can use your strength against because he's very, very smart, Crawford.
If you had to put a percentage on it, 50-50, 60-40 Crawford, 70-30 Canelo,
yeah,
what do you put on it, Tim?
I'd go 65% Crawford.
Shane Mosley shared his thoughts on the upcoming clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, saying it should be an exciting matchup between two elite fighters. He feels that while both men bring world-class skill, Canelo's physical size gives him a major edge. Mosley stressed that people often overlook just how physically strong and solid Canelo is in the ring. Even though Crawford may have the sharper technique, Mosley sees the size gap spanning two divisions as a big advantage for Canelo, and he expects Canelo to come out on top with relative ease, though he still acknowledges Crawford's greatness.
I think it'll be a great fight. I think both guys are great fighters, but I think Canelo's just too big, and you know, they mistake him as being just a guy at 168, not a regular guy, and Crawford being the more talented. But that's not the case. They're both talented. But the only thing is, Canelo has them by two-weight division. So I think that Canelo beats him pretty easily. But we'll see. If Crawford does good, I mean, kudos to Crawford. You know, I'm happy for him. If he can pull it off, great. But my mind's telling me that Canelo's gonna probably beat him.
Mosley also mentioned that for Crawford to win, he would need to approach the fight carefully, slowing things down and using smart footwork to manage range. He clarified that staying mobile doesn't mean running away, but rather keeping just far enough to avoid Canelo's power shots. If Crawford can fight smart and stay composed, there's a real shot he could surprise people. Still, Mosley leans toward Canelo, noting that while Crawford is a true warrior, the size leap might simply be too much to overcome.
I think that maybe you don't have to be all the way boring, but it has to be boring spots. Yeah. So just because he's moving around and keeping his distance don't mean that he's running, right? Yeah. So if he can move and just stay a little bit outside the pocket long enough, then maybe he can win. But I'm thinking Canelo's gonna win. I think Canelo's gonna get a fight because Crawford is a fighter. He's a true fighter. He's a real fighter, but he's in a growing weight division.
Manny Pacquiao shared his thoughts on the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford fight, calling it a strong matchup but giving the edge to Canelo due to Crawford moving up in weight. He advised Crawford to stay focused on maintaining maintaining and even improving his speed and strength, noting how tough it is to move up in weight and still keep quickness. Pacquiao stressed that speed is the key to victory and encouraged Crawford to sharpen his footwork, timing, and punching power if he wants to compete effectively at the higher weight class.
Canelo Crawford, good fight. Good fight. Canelo has advantage because Crawford moving up, but my advice to Crawford is like maintain the speed, improve the speed, and improve the strength, because it's hard to go up in high weight and maintain your speed. So speed is the key. Like he should focus on speed, footwork, and improve the power.
Carmelo Moton also weighed in, saying the September showdown between Canelo and Crawford is a massive event. He recognized that fighters coming up in weight often struggle, but still believes Crawford has a real shot. While he admitted it's a big leap, Moton called it a true 50-50 fight and said the outcome depends on who shows up better on fight night. Ultimately, he feels the fans will be the ones who benefit most from such a high-stakes, exciting battle.
It's a big jump for sure, but I feel like Crawford definitely has a great chance. I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. I really don't know who will come out on top of that one. I just feel like the better man that night will win. So, I feel like the fans are the winners in that one.
On the other hand, Oscar De La Hoya focused on the stylistic matchup, questioning how Crawford could keep Canelo off for a full 12 rounds, but also highlighting Crawford's exceptional footwork, high ring IQ, and versatility. De La Hoya pointed out that Canelo has traditionally struggled with slick, mobile boxers like Dimitri Bivol, Floyd Mayweather, Erislandy Lara, and even John Ryder, who gave Canelo problems despite being less gifted. While acknowledging Canelo has improved, De La Hoya still sees him as flat-footed, which he believes could be exposed by someone with Crawford's movement and boxing skill.
It makes me think, how is Crawford going to keep him away for 12 rounds? Canelo's going to come at him hard. Right. But then again, I think about Crawford's abilities and his IQ and his footwork, which Canelo cannot handle. And we know that for a fact. It happened with Bivol, it happened with Mayweather, who schooled him left and right with no problem, and Canelo was way stronger than Mayweather. So there's
Don't you think Canelo's a better fighter than he was then? Today?
A better fight? Yeah, a little better. Yeah, his footwork is still the same. He's flat-footed. He's very heavy on his feet. But you saw his last fight with Skull. Mm-hmm. He couldn't touch Skull. He was a runner. He was a Cuban runner, but he couldn't touch Skull. It was incredible. It was amazing. It was just like the fight with Lara. He couldn't touch Lara. So there's a reason why fighters think that if they move a little against Canelo, they have boxing abilities against Canelo, they might beat him.
De La Hoya further explained that although power matters in boxing, Crawford's poise under pressure is what sets him apart. He said Crawford doesn't panic, doesn't run, and always knows when to hold his ground. He praised Crawford's toughness and called him a dog in the ring, fearless, determined, and strategic. What excites De La Hoya most about the fight is not just Crawford's grit, but his brain, the intelligence and fight IQ that could give Canelo serious problems in what he sees as a fascinating clash of styles.
Power's a lot. In this game, power means a lot. If you can't keep your guy off you, or you don't know how because it's too much pressure, I'm not saying Crawford is gonna fold, but a lot of fighters, they can't handle the pressure. And the one thing about Crawford is that he knows how to handle the pressure. He's a savvy boxer, and he doesn't run, and he has that heart. He's a dog. He has that heart. You want to fight me? I'm going to fight you. But he's smart.
Lonnie B praised Terence Crawford's skills, calling him a brilliant boxer, but raised concerns about Crawford jumping up 2 full weight classes to fight at 168 without a tune-up. He pointed to Crawford's bout with Matrana at 154, noting that even that fight posed some challenges. Lonnie warned that Crawford's fighting spirit, while admirable, can sometimes work against him, especially if he decides to trade punches with a powerful, bigger opponent like Canelo Alvarez. He predicted Crawford could win the early rounds by boxing smart, but worried the physical demands of facing a natural super middleweight would catch up to him as the fight wears on.
I think Crawford is good, but if you look at his fight with what's his name? Matronov? Yeah. I'm sorry, Matronov at 154. Like, he gave him trouble. Like, you know what I'm saying? He gave him trouble. I think he's going up 2 different weight classes. I think Crawford's an excellent boxer, but I think his heart is too big sometimes. I think if he get in a slugging match with Canelo, it's going to go bad for him. But I can see him, this is how I think the fight going to go, and I could be wrong. I can see him outboxing Canelo for about 5-6 rounds. Only thing I'm worried about is those last rounds. After 6, when Canelo start hitting him on the shoulders and the hips. Because you can go up in weight, but when you used to fighting out a smaller weight, putting on all that weight can make you tired. You know what I'm saying? It's not like he took a tune-up at 168. You know, it's like he went for the juggler at 168.
Lonnie further emphasized that Canelo's experience against larger fighters gives him a significant edge. He said Canelo's bodywork, particularly to the shoulders and hips, is designed to wear opponents down, and that kind of strategy could be dangerous for Crawford in the later rounds. Referencing the size and strength of past opponents like Caleb Plant and Edgar Berlanga, he noted Canelo is used to handling bigger bodies. Ultimately, Lonnie leaned toward Canelo, believing Crawford, while talented, will be a blown-up 168-pounder stepping into deep waters without first adjusting to the division.
I think as the rounds go on, I think it can get bad for Crawford because Canelo can punch. He's used to fighting bigger bodies. Caleb's a big guy. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's a bum, Berlanga, but Berlanga's a big guy. So with Crawford it being a blown up 68, you know, I think I'm leaning more towards Canelo to win.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other recent videos on the screen right now.